Alright, this is Fiorillo 8. I want to give you guys some tips on this etude. So obviously the biggest thing here is having a good quality of sound on these long sustained notes. And now to have a good quality sound you need to know like what variables affect the sound in the bow. So first of all, maybe the most important is your contact point, having a constant sounding point. So I mean not sliding laterally like this, because when you do that, especially slowly, it really affects the sound and it makes it whiffy and just not good. I would practice a lot in front of the mirror. The key to having a constant sounding point is having a straight bow. And now there's one thing is you kind of have to actively almost push out with your bow arm as you get closer to the tip. Because of the curvature of your arm, you're gonna naturally want to do this, which makes the bow not straight, and that makes it sound bad. So as you go towards this tip, think about almost like actively pushing out so that you can keep your bow straight. Okay, now the other two important factors here are bow speed and weight. And now these two things kind of have to be in an equilibrium to keep a constant sound. And so what I mean is, if you look, measure 18 and 19. If you look at measure 19 is this long up bow, and so to have enough room for that, you have to have this quick down bow right before. And if your weight is always the same, it's just gonna kind of surge, and it's gonna be accented. I'll show you. Right. So what you have to do on that very short note is you have less weight because you have to use speed to get to the tip. Right. Okay, and then also while I'm here, I'll address these descending diminished arpeggios. These are very hard to play in tune. So what you have to do is you have to practice stopping and starting. I got a question about this in the comments actually. So you think about your hand shape for each string, but then in between strings you stop, and then before you start playing, think about what your hand shape is going to be. And if it's not right, like my G was a little sharp, you go back. Now it's too flat. You keep going until you get it right, and you don't adjust while you're there. You have to deliberately place. And then to the next string. I would recommend, if you see there's in parentheses below, the fingering is 3-1, I would recommend that one, so you have more space between your fingers. Okay, so after stopping and starting like that, repeat it, and then slowly start narrowing the gaps, like the time you take to stop. And eventually you'll get used to this process of like thinking about your hand shape for each string differently, and it'll be one continuous motion. Okay, I would do the same thing, measure 20. This can be kind of hard. Just each of these you have to feel your hand as a unit for each little tiny motif here. That's not the right word, you know what I mean. Yeah, so stopping and starting will help that as well. Now, another big important thing obviously is saving bow, because when you run out of bow, your sound quality is going to suffer. And so you don't want to run out, like if you look at the beginning, you don't want to run out before you get to the A, because if you just have to stick it on, it'll have a bad sound quality. What you want to do is save enough bow so that you have room to play this A like purposefully, like you mean to play it, and you're not just sticking it on at the end. So if you notice, I might use like 2/3 of my bow only on this long note, so then I have enough for the A. This also, I mean, this applies throughout the piece, but a big place is in measure 21. You see how in this long slur of 16th notes, you have this one little 32nd note run. And those 32nd notes have to have room to speak because they're faster. So less bow on the 16ths and a little more on the 32nds. And that'll keep your sound quality good. Okay, and then speaking of 32nds, if you look in measure 26 and 27, these long 32nd note passages, one thing that can be hard about these is they can be very uneven, and so, as you should know from watching my other videos, you'll want to practice these in rhythms, and also stopping and starting would help. Yeah, and so I looked at the TMEA website. There's been one errata posted for this piece. If you look in measure 9, after the trill, there are these 16th note grace notes. Those are supposed to be 32nd note grace notes, to match how it is at the end. If you look at the end of the piece, the trill has 32nd note grace notes at the end. So that's a really small detail, but I think it's really important. If they're posting errata about it, it means that they're looking for it. So make sure you play these rhythms accurately with the grace notes. Wait till the very end of the trill and then put in the grace notes because they're 30 seconds, so it should be quick. Yeah, and so I will say also on the website it said the repeats are required for this piece. There's one repeat. Now I didn't play the repeat in my recording, but you should practice it with the repeat if they say it's required. I really doubt that they would make you play the repeat on the recording, because they probably don't want to listen to that many people play the section twice, but you never know, especially if they say it's required. So in your run-throughs of this piece, yeah, practice with a repeat. I think that about does it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to help even more. And yeah, thanks for watching.